Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. This is Gianni DePocia, your host, and I'm coming at you this week with a bit of unusual circumstances. I have lost power in Michigan here for going on 24 hours. We had a pretty nasty ice storm come in, taking down the grid, and I would actually attribute this to one of the early effects of Pluto coming into Aquarius in March. So we're about a month away from that significant transit that's going to only be in effect for about 3 months until June. And then Pluto will go back into Capricorn for the remainder of the year. But and then it's going to take until 2024. We're going to see Pluto go back and forth a couple times between Capricorn and Aquarius. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, the difficulties with infrastructure, which is Capricorn, and the grid, which is Aquarius, continue. And, the causes of those issues may be related to Pluto. And so that's a totally separate discussion. We're here to talk about markets today. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We had another hotter than expected inflation report come in on Friday. The PCE numbers, which many say is the Fed's preferred measurement of inflation. Stocks have not liked the news. Dow trading at the lows of the week and on the precipice of taking out the low from late December. So stocks going out on the defensive note into the weekend. But we are in a time band where significant reversals can occur. We did have the beginning of Pisces season start last weekend. And then we had Venus ingress into Aries earlier in the week. Looking ahead into next week, we do have a conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. Many consider this the great conjunction, a very fortunate aspect, if you will. So hopefully that can lead to a stop, or at least stop the tumble in equity markets. We did also have Mercury. We will have Mercury ingress into Pisces on the 2nd of March as well. So NASDAQ leading the way lower again. NASDAQ does not like inflation, but with Saturn being on its last days in Aquarius, could we finally see a more sustainable tech rebound? That remains to be the case. But what we did see in interest rate markets is a continued rally. So, we had that decline into that low in early February, but since then we've been rallying higher, and we've been pretty bearish on T-notes, which has the inverted relationship between yields. So we've been pretty bearish on bonds for quite some time, ever since we had that low pretty much in the weekly reports and the monthly reports as well. So interest rates rising in response to higher than expected inflation numbers. Want to take a look at the US dollar. I'm going to use UUP, the ETF here. US dollar gapping up near the highs of the week on Friday. It's really a big shift that we've seen from a macroeconomic standpoint. For years, for decades, it was the case that a falling dollar was inflationary and a rising dollar was deflationary. But I think that's changed ever since the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that occurred at the Capricorn climax in January 2020, that actually coincided with the all-time high in bond markets. We've seen that relationship flip, and the dollar's been doing well in an inflationary environment. So this means that currencies like the euro, British pound, Swiss franc, those have continued to suffer. And if inflation continues to stay stubbornly high, they may continue to lose ground against the dollars. Take a look at crude oil. We're going to use USO, the ETF that tracks the price of crude oil, as a proxy near the lows of the week here. It's really a mixed trend market. We're seeing higher lows but lower highs. And so that's a very difficult environment to trade, but we're still stuck between two primary cycle labelings and due for a long, in intermediate term cycle low at any time. We discussed this at length in the recent MMA monthly cycles report and in the MMA monthly ETF report that was just published earlier this week. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, which continues to consolidate near its highs, pulling back a little bit going into the weekend here, but the new multi-month high is what bulls want to see. And so, looking ahead into Bitcoin, we're especially interested in Venus ingressing into Taurus in the next month, because Venus has been shown to exhibit 20% or greater moves in Bitcoin when it transits through the sign of Taurus. So that's something to keep an eye on in these next couple weeks. I want to take a look at gold miners real quick. Gold miners on the defensive, gold not liking the higher interest rates. But we are here too due for a cycle low and we'll see how Jupiter's remaining period in Aries pans out for precious metals. So that's all that I wanted to review with you this week when it comes to financial markets. A couple brief announcements. We still are enrolling for the MMTA Trading Academy that begins on March 18th. Spaces are filling up. So if you would like to schedule an interview with me, which is part of the enrollment process, send me an email at gianni@mmacycles.com. We did publish the ETF report, like I said, this past week. And next weekend, I will be conducting a 3-hour workshop with ISAR, the International Society for Astrological Research. On March 4th, we're going to be talking about how outer planets drive investment themes. So I would encourage you to check that out, and you can find details at www.isar.org. Next week, we will also have the MMA monthly addendum report published by MMTA graduate Puyan Zolfargania, and a couple days later, we'll have the MMA monthly grain report published by MMTA graduate Wyatt Fellows. So big moves happening in agricultural markets and commodity markets as well. Don't want to miss it. Check out those reports. You can find all of our work at www.mmacycles.com. So thanks for watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week, hopefully with some power. Thank you.